Well, good morning. Welcome to Mr. Hager's pre-engineering and manufacturing class. Hey, it's pretty exciting stuff on for today, so let's get right to it. So I've been looking for an activity for you guys to do. I did this summer with some kids, and they had a great deal of fun. And it was all the way from sixth grade through 11th grade this summer. We had all kinds of really good results, and most kids really enjoyed it. So let me tell you what we're working on starting today. We're going to spend a couple days on this, probably 3 or 4. All right, we are making solar hot dog cookers. Now, this is going to be a full remote activity, so you're going to be doing this at home. And it's probably not quite as easy as it sounds, okay? We're going to have you guys chase down some materials, but it should be all stuff that you have, and we'll see how well it works. Also, in Evergreen, it's not always that warm, so it might take a little longer for your hot dog cooker to work. So, without any further ado, we are making solar hot dog cookers. Okay, first of all, you're going to construct a passive solar cooker that will cook a hot dog in an hour. And I think an hour is pretty ambitious in Evergreen. So let's pick a good warm day. And then maybe instead of an hour, we'll give you guys 75 minutes. That sounds more appropriate for you guys. So 75 minutes will get you your hot dog cooked, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay. You're going to cook a passive solar cooker. Okay. What is passive? Well, passive is using only the energy from the sun to cook your hot dog. You can't use any pumps, any motors, any devices. You can't use the sun to start a fire to cook the hot dog. That is not the idea here. The idea is to use the energy from the sun and only the energy from the sun to cook your hot dogs. Okay? There are a few rules that we need to go over before we begin here. Number one, no magnifying glasses. And there's a couple reasons we don't use magnifying glasses. And the really big one is as the sun moves through the sky, you would have to constantly be out there very slowly adjusting that magnifying glass. And most kids just don't have the ability to sit there for 70 minutes and do that. Plus, not everybody has a magnifying glass, so that's not very fun to be competitive if you have a big advantage. So, no magnifying glasses, okay? You are going to be using most of the materials that you already have. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about those materials that you already have and what that's going to look like. Okay. So I dug around the shop here for some stuff that I would make a solar hot dog cooker out of. And so some of the things that I found here is I found a skewer, which are for making shish kebabs. I don't know why this is here, but I have one of these. So I would put my hot dog on this for my solar cooker, and that way I can hold my hot dog. I could use a stick. I could just lay it in the bottom of the solar cooker. But I found this and thought, maybe I'll use a skewer to hold my hot dog. The other thing that I came up with after doing a little bit of research is some plastic cling wrap might be kind of happy, or saran wrap, as some people call it. Aluminum foil. Some people call this Reynolds wrap because Reynolds is kind of the big company that makes it, but it's just sheet aluminum. And one thing you should know about aluminum foil is there's a shiny side and a dull side, and that's intentional. There's a reason for that. So a little aluminum foil might be helpful. What else do I got here? Oh, a cardboard box. Okay. Now, I'm not saying these are all the things you're going to need to make a solar cooker. These are some of the things. Oh, wait. I also, you know what? Um, I was looking for some black paper to cover my box with, and I couldn't find any. So I did find some black spray paint. Black paper is so much easier to work with than black spray paint. So for whatever that's worth. So these are some of the materials that I could envision you guys needing. Okay. But the reality is, it may not be all of them, it may not be any of them at all. Okay. We are going to decide as a group. We'll get together on a Zoom meeting and discuss. Do you guys want to just build these things and test them at home and report the data? Or would you like to build them at home and then bring them in with you for the kids that are hybrid? Bring them in and we'll cook the hot dogs here. Or would you rather just do it on a Saturday or during the afternoon one day when you have a little time, throw a hot dog in there and test it at home? And either way is fine with me. I am not. I don't have a decision either way. We'll see what you guys come up with. Okay. How are we going to judge your hot dog cookers? Well, in the past, I had this cool wireless thermometer, and we would not wireless, infrared laser thermometer, and we would point it at the hot dog and see how hot the hot dog got. But if you guys are all grading these from home, that makes that a little difficult. So here's kind of my gauge. If you went to grab your hot dog and it was on fire, it was burning, there was actually flameage, I would call that a 10. Okay. If your hot dog is too hot to touch, I'd call that an 8. If it's nice and hot, that's a 6. If it's warm, that's 4 points. If it's kind of warm, that's 2 points. If it's still cold, that's 1 point. And I know somebody's going to say, well, what do you mean by warm? Or what do you mean by nice and hot? And because we're all doing this probably remotely, you're probably going to have to, it's a little subjective, and that's fine. We're going to, it's not that big a deal. The idea here is to just give us a little bit of feedback, okay? All right, so the question is, how do I get started on building a solar cooker? And these are kind of my 8 steps. Notice the ones that have the red asterisk next to them means that you must do some kind of documentation in Google Classroom. And what that means is I am going to put up a document. I'm going to give you each a copy. And when I ask you to do each of these steps, you're going to record some of that data in there. So let's go to step number 1. Do some research on solar cookers. Let me tell you, the best way to learn about solar cooking is Googler. Okay, so if you use Google and you look at some videos and you read some articles and you learn about solar cooking, that is half the battle. I can also give you a hint here. There will be kids that watch videos without listening to them, watch partial videos, or look at pictures on the internet, and they will then make a solar cooker that looks like that. But if you don't read, it's going to be a problem. A couple of years ago, we made solar hot dog cookers, and I had a kid that made a solar hot dog cooker, and right underneath the picture that he copied was the words, "My solar hot dog cooker did not work." Okay, so for what it's worth, and you got to think about this a little bit. Okay, all right, so we're going to do a little research, and that's going to take a class period of you guys Googling and YouTubing and really kind of coming up and teaching yourself a little bit about solar cooking. Okay, that's step number 1. And I see how there's a red asterisk there. I guarantee you in that document that's going to be posted with the assignment, there's going to be a writing prompt that says, what did you learn from the research you did about solar cooking? And I'm going to ask you to document 5 or 10 things that you learned. And so that's what I mean by you have to document your work in Google Classroom, okay? Number 2, I'm going to ask you to sketch a set of plans for what you plan on making. And I don't want you to get confused with a sketch, okay? And the reason I say that, let me switch cameras here and see if I can kind of explain this to you. I have kids that I will ask for a sketch, and they confuse the word sketch with a scribble, okay? So when I ask for a sketch, I'm not asking you to scribble something out. I'm asking you to draw something out nice and neat without using drafting tools, okay? Now, I know if you use drafting tools, it's going to turn out even better, but I haven't given you drafting tools. You don't have access to drafting tools. You may not even ever have drafted before, so we're going to ask you to sketch. So remember my box that I showed you here? If I asked you to sketch this box, I would expect it to look something like this. I'm going to turn my paper here so that I can see. You know what I could do? If I can get really fancy, I might be able to turn that camera so it's easier to see. So if I'm going to draw my box, I'm going to come in here as nice and neat as I can, and I'm going to draw that box. Now, some people would say, hey, that's a pretty good box, Mr. Hager. That's kind of the start of the box, right? But didn't our box go back a couple inches like this, and then this one up here, and then there was that was our box, right? Isn't that kind of what our box looked like? And then if I remember right, there was a flap that kind of hanged over here, and then there was a flap that kind of hung over here, and then there was one that kind of hung over there. Okay, and I took the one off the one side, so that's kind of what my box looks like. Oh, I need to have a line going in here. So I have my box now drawn, and it's 3-dimensional, and it's a sketch. It's not perfect. It's not drawn with tools. There's no measurements on it. But I should be able to look at your sketch and get an idea of what you're planning. So if I was thinking I was going to put a hot dog in there, I'm going to use dotted lines to show my hot dog. And that's an old drafting trick. Dotted lines means something is hiding. And do you want to know what's hiding? The hot dog. You can't see it through the cardboard, right? So there's my hot dog inside the box. I don't know if you can see that. So there's my hot dog inside my cardboard box. And I'm not going to give you any more information than that because it's just too much good information for you. And I want you guys to do some of the figuring out. All right. So we are going to sketch a set of plans. And again, there's a red asterisk there. So that means your drawings, your sketches, you will need to take a picture of them and you will need to upload those as well into our Google document that we're turning in. Okay. So that's the second thing that you're going to document. What does your plan look like? Okay. When you sketch out a set of plans, that's like a rough draft when you're writing a paragraph or an essay. It organizes your ideas, gets you thinking about things. Do that sketch. It will save you some time and energy later on. All right, moving on to step number 3. Step number 3, we're going to collect those materials around the house. I don't want you to say, hey, mom and dad, I need to go to the store and I need to get paint, or I need to get bolts and nuts and washers and a welder and a table saw. I want you to use stuff that you have laying around the home. Does that mean all the solar cookers will be the same? No. They're all going to be different. Some are going to work better than others, but the goal here is to use materials that you already have around the house that your parents don't mind if you use, okay? So use what you got. Don't spend any money on this thing. It's just supposed to be a good way to get your brain thinking like an engineer. We did a little research. We came up with a plan. We collected some materials. Moving on to step number 4, we're going to build a solar cooker, okay? So you're going to go in and make that solar cooker. And again, cardboard and paper and saran wrap and aluminum foil and those kinds of things, anybody can process at home. You don't need a fancy shop. You don't need a bunch of equipment. You don't need any of that stuff. You can just use the stuff that you have to make a solar cooker at home in your basement, your garage, or your bedroom. All right, next thing, after we build our solar cooker, we're going to collect a little data. And what I mean by that is take it outside, put it in the sun, see if it heats up, see if it gets hot, see if it takes a long time or not, and look at what can I change to make this work better. I would say find the parts that are working good and expand on those and eliminate the things that are not working well at all. Hopefully, this does not mean you have to go back to the drawing board. Hopefully, a little bit of tweaking, and you can make this thing work really, really well. Okay? So, we're going to go out, we're going to collect a little bit of data. And again, in step 5, you're going to go back into the Google Classroom, into the document that I'm going to have for you, and you're just going to give me a quick writing prompt of what you found when you tested your thing and what modifications you made. Okay? Which is step 6. Make some adjustments. Fix whatever's not working. Don't be like, oh, mine didn't work. Actually figure out what you need to do to tweak it and make it work so it'll cook a hot dog, okay? Step number 7, cook a hot dog. Let's see how it actually works when we put a hot dog inside of it and cook it. Now, if you don't have any hot dogs, it's not the end of the world. You could either A, go get some hot dogs because hot dogs are delicious, or B, you can put something else in there to cook, like an egg. Try to cook an egg in 70 minutes. Don't eat the egg in case it doesn't cook all the way through. You don't want to end up sick as a dog. But there are other things you can put in there. So if you get this thing done and don't have a hot dog, give me a holler and let me see if I can help you out with that, okay? So you're going to cook a hot dog, and then last but not least, you're going to go back to that Google document and you're going to report the results, okay? You're going to tell me, how did it do? How did things work out? And so forth. All right. So now, the whole idea of this is to be fun, have a good time, see how clever you are. I think for me, the big thing here is, can you teach yourself something? Can you be creative? Can you design? Can you modify? This is how engineers work. They come up with an idea and they rework it and they correct it and they change it. We're going to take you through the engineering model this year. This is just the first thing to get your brain thinking and get you being super creative. Okay? So, anyway, you're going to have a good time. You're going to make a solar hot dog cooker. You're going to have plenty of time to do this. This is going to be your at-home activity. And I'm going to guess for us to go through the educate yourself, design it, build it, test it, all those good steps, it's going to take us several days. So don't freak out. We'll let you know after we get started how long you have and go from there. All right? Hey, great talking to you. I'll leave this posted so you can come back to it. It'll be in my Google Classroom. Have fun doing this. Let me know how it turns out.